President Biden is expected to speak any minute now about more sanctions against Russia. In the meantime, let's head over to Doug Luzader, right down the street, around the corner, however you want to say it, live in Washington, D.C. Doug, good morning to you.
Good morning. The president was supposed to start speaking about 4 minutes ago. He's running a little behind here, but this is a big announcement today. He's going to say that that Russia will no longer be considered a most favored nation as far as trading status is concerned. At least that's the intent here, in coordination with a number of U.S. allies as Russia's attacks on Ukraine continue. Massive explosions at an airfield in western Ukraine, evidence that Russia is now expanding its attacks. And remember that 40-mile column of Russian tanks and vehicles seemingly stuck on the road to the capital, Kyiv? It's now dispersing and perhaps preparing for an assault.
They are actually in firing position, and they're close enough to Kyiv to where they can actually fight from there. So that does appear that they're getting ready for maybe a larger onslaught onto Kyiv.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Putin.
President Biden is planning on tightening the economic screws on Russia today, but there are difficult decisions ahead. Russia is accusing the U.S. of operating biological warfare labs in Ukraine, something the administration vigorously denies. But there are concerns here that Russia could use chemical or biological weapons themselves.
I'm not going to get into red lines from here.
The White House won't say whether the U.S. would intervene if that happens. Russian President Vladimir Putin, meantime, is now inviting volunteers from around the world to fight in Ukraine. But Ukraine, too, is fielding offers. The Ukrainian embassy in D.C. says some U.S. citizens are eager to join the fight.
This is people of goodwill who are coming to assist Ukraine to fight for freedom.
Okay, in the meantime, back here in Washington, we're waiting for the president to emerge to make this announcement about really trying to clamp down on Russia's economic activity. The Wall Street Journal this morning is reporting that the U.S. will include a ban on Russian imports of alcohol and seafood. Dina.
Boy, Doug, you wonder if that's enough to stop Putin. I know that in watching this, especially watching the bombing of the hospital with pregnant women and newborn children was so devastating. I think for many of us, that just reached really far as hitting us and making us wonder what will it take to stop him, and where and how much devastation will there be.
Well, right now, when military analysts look at where Putin is positioning some of these forces, particularly north of Kyiv, it certainly looks like Kyiv is in for a bombardment from a distance. That's kind of how things are setting up right now. And at this point, none of these economic sanctions have had enough of a bite. They've had a big bite, but they haven't had enough of a bite to stop Putin, who may be prepared to pay just about any price to take Ukraine.
All right, so when the president speaks today, what's the end game there?
Well, it's about going after the Russian economy, and clearly the Russian economy is kind of in shambles right now. But, you know, Putin also comes from an era that many of us remember, the Soviet Union, which operated almost in a sequestered fashion from the rest of the global economy. So he may be headed back in that direction. The one thing that he has in his corner right now is China, which is still standing by Russia despite what's going on in Ukraine. And from an economic standpoint, that is an important lifeline for that country.
It sure is. All right, Doug, so we will wait to hear from the president, and you're not getting any notice as far as when he will be talking?
It should be pretty soon. This White House isn't always on time. The president has another event scheduled where he's going to Philadelphia before heading off to Camp David, I think. So we'll see whether just a brief announcement. He generally doesn't take questions at these things, and we're not expecting him to do so today, but you never know.
Okay, well, we're going to stand by and wait to see when that happens, and we'll go live to President Biden's announcement about more sanctions against Russia. In the meantime, Doug, thank you.
Thanks.